Hello and welcome to the Hot Seat TV. I'm your host, Matt Randall from Timberwolf Coaching. And with me today I have a very special guest, Eric Robertson from Web-Impac. And we're here today to talk about websites and visual impact of websites and how their appearance affects maybe your business. So Eric, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Matt.
Glad you're here.
Appreciate it.
Now, you have a lot of experience in dealing with websites and in particular how they affect or let's say the visual impact that websites have on how they affect business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, my background really isn't internet stuff, but it came out of a collaboration between myself and my sister, who is in public relations. And so we sat down and we started talking about the importance of websites. And I've had some classes in computer technology, information technology. So as we started to talk about websites and what they look like and how people respond to them, we came up with an idea. And that idea was to use software to enhance people's websites.
Okay. Now, when you say that you've studied a little bit, I happen to know a little better than that. That when you say you've studied something, you've taken it on like a pit bull with a raw snake.
Right.
Raw steak, I mean.
Yeah.
So you get really in depth, being the engineer type that you are. You study it to death. So what can you tell us about websites? And when somebody looks at a website, how does that affect whether or not the website is effective in terms of generating business for a company?
Well, if you go back to the beginning of websites, most people will agree that websites started in earnest about 1991. In fact, the first website went up in 1991, which was only 25 years ago. And since then, we are now up to 1.3 billion websites, as the last time I checked, which was last night, and that number keeps on rolling. So that's a lot of websites. But consequently, what you see is that people, really aren't paying as much attention to websites as they used to. When it was a new thing, folks were tuning in to what few websites existed. Now, at 1.3 billion websites, it's more of a challenge to have your website stand out amongst the rest. So that's what my sister and I start looking at. Again, her field being in public relations, me having a little bit of internet technology expertise, and we blended those two professions together so that we could look at how we could change things. Okay.
So the term visual impact would refer to when somebody first sees a website, the impact that has, whether they like it or not, it boils down to. What is visual impact is probably a little bit bigger than what I just described in my simple terms. Can you help us understand, for those people who own a website, what is the visual impact of that site?
Well, what we discovered in our first thought about this idea, how can we blend technology and websites to improve the visual experience, is that we started pulling up some studies. And the one study that we relied on heavily was the 2013 study by Harvard University in collaboration with the University of Colorado. And what they said in that study is that within a few seconds of you tuning into a website, you've already made up your mind whether or not you like it or not.
Okay.
And of course that reflects on whatever products or whatever services you're trying to sell on that website. So then we said, well, that's an opportunity for we need to look into this more. And so we looked at other studies, and all the studies seemed to collaborate the fact that visual impact is important for your website. You've got to get people to look at your website before they go into the content and discover that you have a good product or a good service.
So I know when I'm teaching public speaking, in particular when I'm teaching networking, we tell people you have about 10 seconds to make a good first impression, or not.
Right.
Is that the same thing, basically this study is confirming for websites?
Well, the study is actually saying less than that. The study is saying a couple of seconds. And
Really?
I think they even, in the study, they even state within a half a second, people are making up their minds. But I think a good average would be between 2 to 3 seconds. You know, some people being quicker than others. So what they see is really making up their mind very quickly, even if they have the intent to go into the website and read and study the content and the products. They're still making up their mind whether or not they trust you, whether or not they feel that you're a professional, whether or not they feel your products are adequate for their use.
So when I'm talking with web developers, who I do business coaching with on occasion, they talk about two primary things. One is a click-through rate. In other words, are people actually clicking on the links within your pages? And the other is, the term for it I forgot, but basically it's how long do you have eyes on the page? Are people actually reading it and hanging in to watch the videos or to read the articles that are posted there? So how long they stay and whether or not they click to go any further seems to be very important, of course, in terms of the appeal of a website. But you're saying there's only 3 seconds for the average consumer to make that determination.
Yeah, that's what they're missing. The traditional metrics are the things that can be measured behind the website in the software. And those measurements are happening, again, as you said, you know, how long have someone been at your page? Of course, they don't know what the metrics, the traditional metrics don't know what folks are looking at. They don't know what folks are feeling. They're just measuring, okay, this person was on the website for, you know, 1 minute, 2 minutes, or whatever. What we do is different. What we do is we're measuring how the person feels about your website, and we do that by asking your viewer to vote on what they see fairly immediately. We're asking them to vote within 3 seconds. And by doing that, by voting on the level of satisfaction, what they see, they're really telling us much more of a story.
So something like the analytics that are out there for websites will tell you how long somebody has stayed on the page, but that may be because the page is particular interest to them and they have to read the information for research or what have you. But what you're talking about is whether or not they actually like the page.
Yes, they're interacting with us. They're interacting with our metrics. Whereas the other metrics, there's no interaction. It's just a measurement. Oh, someone came in with an IP address. They were there for X amount of minutes, or they went to another page and they were there for an X amount of minutes, and then they exited the website. And that's great. That's not bad information, but it's not as full of pictures what we're offering. So we're saying, you know, keep your metrics, but add our metric to it, and you're going to have a much more complete picture of what folks are seeing when they come to your website.
So I'm thinking from the consumer standpoint, I see websites sometimes that are really nice. They're laid out, they're beautiful, they're attractive, I can find the information quickly and easily. I see other websites that are ugly, for lack of a more professional term. They're just terrible, and you have to hunt and peck to find what you're looking for because it's not obvious, it's not right where you need it to be. Sometimes it's hidden.
Yeah.
So now you're saying that as a consumer, I can vote on this website to say I love it or I hate it?
Exactly. And not only do you love it or hate it, but how much you love it or how much you hate it. So you have 1 to 5 stars, and of course, as it's a star point system, as many other offerings on the internet where you can rate things. But remember, the important thing about how and what we're doing in rating is that we're asking the viewer to rate immediately on first impression, and then behind the software, based on that 3 seconds that we're asking you to vote, we then have algorithms behind the software that tells us, based on our knowledge with public relations and based on our knowledge of how people do things and how they feel, we can put together a score for the website owner that makes more sense than what currently is in the picture. Remember, if I go back just a second, that if the traditional metrics are just like timing you on a various page or on the website, the problem with that is that, you know, if you go to a website and then you go get a bologna sandwich and you come back to those are skewed metrics. So that you don't, and I think that when the idea of metrics came up, when people were paying a lot more for their computers and for their internet provider, it was that people only went on to a website just when they need it. Now, I think that most of us, when we go to a website, we may sit there and then we're distracted, we go somewhere else, and then we come back to it. So timing metrics are a little bit difficult right now to tell the full picture.
I guess I'm a little puzzled and shocked because I'm used to, if I watch a movie, I rate it, whether I like it or not. That tells me how I compare with how other people and some of my friends might have liked it. If I buy something through an online company, I usually go back and rate it and give a review. This hasn't been done before with a website?
Well, it has, because, you know, there are rating systems that you can go, but they're really asking you to read the content. They're asking you to consider their products, and they're asking you a whole host of questions. We're only asking you one question. We're asking you your first impression. Remember, the Harvard study is saying within 3 seconds, a person is making a determination whether or not they can trust you, whether or not they feel that your products are good, whether or not, and they're doing all of that based on the natural human reaction to make up your mind very quickly. And, you know, go back to the cave days. If we're looking at, if we're looking through the bush and we see a saber-toothed tiger, we better make up our minds pretty quick. So, you know, yes, we're into the computer age, but I think we still have a lot of primordial instincts at play, and that's what we're looking at.
I think you're right about that. We see things and we either instantly determine they're friend or foe, or whether we like them or not.
That's right.
And so this gives people a way to let someone know. So as if I were a website owner, which I happen to have a few, and somebody actually is able to rate my website, what information does that give me that I can use to improve business?
Well, if you're using our metrics, which is in a way a combination of the pure mathematical metrics that we were talking about, some timing features, et cetera. But again, our metrics is really focused to you, the consumer. What do you feel, and what do you feel immediately? Now, it may be that my website is ugly and uninteresting and boring, but, you know, you being a person that needs a product, maybe you stay on it for a while, and then you decide, despite my website, you want to buy a product. But then we can't discount the hordes of other people that have looked at your website, and because it was boring or uninteresting, they went on to something else. And so that's what we're trying to capture in how we're measuring what people feel through what they see.
Okay. Yeah. When you say ugly and boring websites, I immediately think of computer parts. If you've ever shopped online for the discount computer parts stores for a hard drive or a case for your computer to build one from scratch, those sites are so utilitarian and hideously ugly. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Well, if you know, to a techie, a high-tech person, they may look at a module of some kind or the other, and it may actually look very pretty to them. Yeah, you're right. You know, you have to present your product as it is, but what we're kind of focusing on more is how do you present that? Where do you place it on the web page? How do you build your web page around that product to make it more interesting and desirable as compared to some of your competitors? So if you make that product too small and people can't see it and discern it, even the high-tech people would say, yeah, I see the product, but I don't really see it. And then they go on to your competitor's page, and they may buy it from them because it was twice the size on your competitor's page than it is on your page.
So this would give somebody who owns a website a way of not only knowing how people feel about their website, but what they think is wrong, what they think could be improved?
Yeah, well, there's two things. Remember, we're talking about a website, but we're also talking about web pages. So our software can allow you to place our software on adjacent to any object or product, and or on any page, or a number of them on any page. So if you have a page, you could put one of our software voter buttons on that page, or you can put it on the various products. So we'll know what people are looking at and what they feel about each thing they do look at.
So I might like the page, but I think the photo is terrible.
Or the product is terrible in its presentation.
Okay.
Yes, because remember, first 3 seconds, we're not really asking you to read the content unless you're a speed reader. We're really measuring what you see. That's something you can, as the website owner or as the company presenting the product or service, that's something you can do something about. So if the information you're getting from our software is that people don't really like your presentation, you can change the presentation.
So they love you, they love the product, they hate your web page. Or they love the web page, they hate the picture of the product. I mean, this is starting to sound a little more complex and a lot more valuable to me as a website owner.
Yes. Well, remember, go beyond the website. You're trying to sell product or services.
Right.
So what you want to know is what people see, because that's going to reflect on your product and services. As I said, there's going to always be some people who are going to buy what you're selling anyway, no matter what they see. But then you want to capture those 100 people that, the one may have bought, but then there are 100 that went on to another website because you weren't presenting your product or your service in a visual pleasing way.
Have there been studies done on how the first impression or the visual impact of a website is measured in terms of business and profitability of that site?
Well, there's been plenty of studies with respect to websites and the products on those websites. What's missing, and again, everyone is asking the website viewer or the potential customer to rate the whole thing, not only the visual of the website, but the whole ambience and the content. And so it's too much. What we're focusing on is what is the visual impact, and thus our name Web-Impac. What is the visual impact of what you're presenting? And because again, what we know through human studies is that people are making up their minds within a couple of seconds. So we have to stay focused on that, and that's what we do.
So coming full circle to where we started, if a customer visits a website, within 3 seconds they determine whether or not they want to stay watching that website or move on to a competitor or move on to something else. If your website isn't attracting them, keeping their interest long enough, then you're really losing business, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. That's you're losing business, and also you're not getting the feedback that you want or need in terms of how you can improve. So part of what we're doing is we're not only giving you numerics, but we're giving you numerics in a way that you can take that information and now and then make some changes and then come back to it, because our metrics are being presented real time. So if you just put something up on your website and people are immediately saying, "Oh, we don't like that," with our products, they're seeing that, the website owner is seeing that right away, and he could just as quickly take down whatever he just put up.
Well, now you're saying the website owner sees that right away. I'm used to the idea that all of this information goes back to some company who sends you a report every once in a while so that you can check on that. Is this something different?
A lot of companies that do traditional metrics do it that way. But what we do is we offer you a dashboard, something that you can see real time with numbers as they're occurring. Yes, we do offer that ability that if you put something up on your website 10 minutes ago, you could see how that is doing in terms of people's reaction to it.
Do I need to be a website designer, a developer, to install this or attach it to? Does it have to be built into my website? Is it something as simple as an idiot like me who uses templated websites can use myself, or do I have to hire somebody to do this?
Well, it depends. You know, some people would find even changing Windows default settings a challenge. You know, we will provide you with instructions how to insert this into your website. And if not, you can go back to your website builder. It won't cost much. It doesn't take very much time. It doesn't interfere with the software in your, on your web page or at your website. So it's essentially an attachment to your website, what is called in the industry a widget. It just attaches there. It doesn't depend on the software in your website whatsoever.
Good. Now, a widget's at least a word I understand.
Okay.
And I understand how to add widgets, so that may be something simple enough that I could even use it.
Yeah, I think what we'll find is that, you know, most people are computer savvy enough to be able to click on this and click on that and then insert it into their website. And again, if not, we'll give detailed instructions as to how to get the, and not only that, but we will also give advice as to where to place it on your website. You know, some people might decide, you know, upper left-hand corner, and some people lower right-hand corner. Okay. But you know, we can make some advice as to the best way to get people to see it and to vote immediately. Because again, if they're not voting immediately, then it's no different than any other website measurement, which is content related. Now, we will have circumstances where somebody may see a website and they decline to vote on it immediately, and they want to read the content, and then at that point they vote. But that's okay. Contained in our algorithms, we make allowances for a certain portion of the population that will go beyond the 3 seconds and vote based on reading the content and perusing your other pages, etc. Wow. So it's all in the math.
Math is not my strong point. Give me public speaking or history any day. But this sounds so cool to me, and I'm trying to make sure I get the whole concept wrapped around my mind properly. It's a widget you add to a website. A customer can quickly rate whether or not they like that site or an object on the site, giving the website owner instant feedback. So I'm pretty good so far?
Right, right.
And then from there, the website owner, not waiting for a report, can instantly see how people feel about their website, and that gives them enough information to make changes so that they can eventually, and the end goal is to improve sales.
Yes.
I have that all wrapped around?
You've done well. In a nutshell, that's what we do. Now, the complication behind it is that, again, this can't be done unless you understand how the public reacts to certain things. So we have that public relations branch. We marry public relations with IT. And so now we can discern a lot more, whereas, again, the traditional metrics is more an IT function. They make certain raw mathematical measurements. But here we're trying to measure people and how they feel. And of course, the people have a vote. They're voting. They're telling you how they feel.
Okay.
And so the nuances is, as I said, you know, some people may spend 3 minutes on a website, some 3 seconds, some 30 minutes. So we have to consider those algorithms in our math so that we can give you good information which you can react to and then say, okay, I need to fix this or that on my website.
I was just thinking, in comparison to what I mentioned about rating movies and products earlier, that this gives instant results that you can actually take action on. Once a movie's been created, whether people love it or hate it, you can't change the movie.
Yes.
And a product also, I mean, you can send it back to the factory in China and have it redone, and a year later have a whole new product. But with a website, geez, you can give instant feedback to a website owner or a developer and have changes made instantly.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
It is. It's a very powerful tool because we are interfacing directly. And some of our products, not only do you vote instantly, but you can follow up with a message. So along with those votes, you can get people actually making suggestions to you as to why they don't like what they see or why they do like what they see. So don't think it's all negative. It could be positive. Maybe you have a great website and great products, and people react and say, yeah, here's 5 stars for your website and for your web or for your product, and this is why, you know, great job, I really like it, kind of thing. So you will get it both ways.
Okay.
But you will get the truth.
Now I'm a little scared.
you will get the truth.
I think I want to go back and redesign all my websites now because I'm afraid.
No, I think that any businessman, and I started out my career as a pilot, but the last 15 years I've been in business. And one of the things that makes every business successful is information. You need information. You need information about your competitors. You need information about the environment which you operate in, about the product or service that you're selling. But most importantly, you need information from your customers, and that's what we're presenting here.
You're right. That's amazing. I'm so excited about this new technology. Can you tell our audience how they can reach you, where they can find more information about the product?
Yes, you can go to www.webimpac.com. But remember, the Web Impact is spelled I-M-P-A-C. Drop the T.
Drop the T.
Right.
Okay, very important on that. I'm so glad that you could be here with us today, Eric. This is fantastic information. I think every website owner would be very curious to know what the public really feels about their site and have that information instantly available to them.
Yes.
So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
So for more information about the Hot Seat TV or to be a guest on the show, you're welcome to contact me through my website at timberwolfcoaching.com. I'm Matt Randall, your host, and I want to thank you very much for being here today.